Hi, welcome into Market Day Report. I am Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in here today. It's the 24th of October, all day today. We call it a Friday Eve to keep the spirits high around here, but let's take a look and see if these markets are helping us do that as well. I did the radio show earlier today, and we didn't have too much going on. We still don't, but we will take a 2 1/4 cent better board when it comes to Dees corn. 4.21 1/4 last in Dees, and that's about what now? 4.21, 3 cents off the high of the day. We've had about almost a 6 cent range, 5 3/4 cents, so we're right in the middle of it actually. March is up 2 1/4 cents to 4.34 1/4. That's corn. Anywhere between 1 to 2 1/4 cents higher across the board. Soybeans in Chicago, well, they're up 5.5 cents up front. It's over up to $10. It's got a $10 handle now. 10.03 is last. That's kind of good news, but what makes it worse is that we're 9 cents off the highs. And that's not good, is it? So we're about 7 cents off the lows, 9 cents off the highs. That'll tell you where we're trading. But we'll take a 10.02 3/4 print right now. No beans up 5 1/4. We're up 2.5 cents behind it in Jan. 10.07 1/2 is last there. And again, that's well off the highs by 10 1/4 cents. So we've definitely come back off here. We're up anywhere between 2 to 5.5 cents across the board in beans. Let's take a look at wheat and see what that's got for us. This is Chicago wheat. We're just steady a little bit easier. We lose more as we go out the defers. We're only down 1/2 cent, 2 ticks in Dees to 5.78 even, 3 cents off the high, 6 1/4 cents off the low, or 3 cents off the low, sorry, 6 1/4 cents off the high. At 5.78 1/4 is last. That's Dees Chicago wheat. We've got a March Chicago wheat down just 3 ticks, 3/4 cent to 5.97 1/2. All right, that's Chicago wheat. Let's go to the hard red in Kansas City. What's that got for us? Well, that's got about a 3 1/4 cent, 3.5 cent loss across the board. Dees is down 3 1/4 cents to 5.82 1/4. That's Dees, 5.82 1/4. That's the Dees hard red. March hard red in Kansas City is down 3.5 cents to 5.96 3/4. Let's move from Kansas City to Minneapolis and see what the spring wheat's got for us. That's a lower board by 3.5 cents up front. That's Dees. 6.12 even is last, just depending off the low of the day. 9 cents off the high. So we're all kind of seeing the highs put in here earlier, and we've drifted back lower. March, that's down 3.5 cents to 6.34 even, just 3 ticks off the low of the day. And I'm going to call it 8 3/4, almost 9 cents off the highs there. So spring wheat definitely settling back in, giving back some of that real estate it gained earlier. Let's see about the cotton board. We'll get to our next guest analyst. 117 points lower in Dees cotton. 71.34 is last there. And, well, I'll tell you what, that's about what, 9 ticks off the low of the day there? So that's also trading kind of heavy. All right, let's bring him in. Nick Paumen, he's with CHS. Nick's up in, is he in Invergrove Heights or is he in Kansas? He's in Invergrove Heights. I can tell by the setting behind you there, Nick. All right, brother. What do you got for us? What's top of mind?
Well, I guess today we had a pretty good export sales report this morning. Gave us some really strength out of the gate here. And like you said, we're off the highs a little bit, but you had corn beating expectations, 3.6 million metric tons. You had beans on the high end. So a good week for those two markets. And wheat was even on the high end too, towards the high end. 532 was the sales report. So good numbers there. But just seeing a technical bounce back overall. Harvest starting to finish up in a lot of areas. By Monday next week, you'll see a lot of areas starting to wrap up across the Corn Belt. Yeah,
I'm good. I'm glad to see these export sales come through. But the problem is, well, it's not a problem. It's just the way the world works, right? Cheaper prices bring more sales. So now that you've got Dees corn in between $4 and $4.25, we start to sell some. I think that makes sense. We should do that as well as with beans. Are you starting to worry about the weather, though? I mean, down south in Brazil, and then maybe even you've seen our drought map up here. We got dry pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And that drought up here really helped or really cut back the yields in some of these areas and the later planted stuff. 10, 15 bushel off on corn in some areas, 5 to 10 on beans in those same areas. So the drought really hurt the last few months here. And then, Brazil, I guess that's the big watch point, right? That's why we saw beans collapse, over the last couple months. And we got to watch it going forward here and what implications the delay in the bean planting will have on the safrinha corn. So some maybe supportive factors in the corn market here right now with that, but we'll have to watch it and see. And beans fundamentally should be under pressure here for a little bit, given the big Brazil crop coming and our big balance sheet here in the U.S.
All right, we'll take that all on board. Really appreciate your content. Thank you very much. Nick Paumen, he comes to us from CHS in Invergrove Heights up in Minnesota. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more livestock with the guy in a livestock jacket. How about that? We'll see you in just a minute.